also I'll be doing one of the books that I will be reviewing on my own, which I'm just going to give you guys a little hint. All I'm going to say is Winter is Coming. I promised a couple reviews, or not a couple reviews ago, a couple, I guess, shows ago that I would be doing a book review, and I didn't give the name of the book, but it's coming up, and my only hint for what it is Winter is Coming. Okay, I finally did it. I've been promising this review for a while now. I've been hinting at it for a while now, and it's finally here. My review of A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, published in 1996 by Bantam Spectra Books. And I read my book and marked my progress with Chicago Metra April monthly pass. And this edition is 804 pages, 806 pages, 807 pages with about 27 pages of appendix, which it's really cool because it runs down all the houses, a little bit of their history, and then like the family tree. And I thought that was really helpful after I read the book, because I didn't want to flip back there and be spoiled on things. And with that said, I went into this book completely dry. I knew nothing about the show. I knew nothing about the book other than Sean Bean plays one of the characters, because I saw him in all the memes on Facebook, Winter is Coming, or brace yourself, whatever. And I knew that the small guy plays Tyrion the Imp, but I didn't know who Sean Bean played. I just knew he was in the series. And I was also told that a lot of characters die. So that's all I really knew about the book. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I got to build this whole world and create these characters' images with my own imagination. And I really like that. So let's get right into the review. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of the plot. It takes place in this land called Westeros, and then there's this land in the east I forget the name of. There's so many names. And there's 3 stories being told. There's the Game of Thrones itself, if you want to call it that, which is what I'm calling it. And then there's the story of the Wall. And then there's the story of Daenerys and Viserys, the son and daughter of the former king. And the Game of Thrones is about, the story of the Game of Thrones is about the Starks, the Lannisters, the Baratheons, and a couple of the other small family houses. They're kind of quarreling over the kingship and who should be king and this and that. And then there's the story of the Wall, which is told through the perspective of a character named Jon Snow. And he talks about life living on the Wall, and what's going on beyond the Wall, or what they think is going beyond the Wall, and what they're protecting everyone from with this giant wall. And then there's the story of Daenerys and Viserys. They're the son and daughter of the former king. They're Targaryens. I don't remember the name of the former king. Like I said, there's so many names being thrown around. And Viserys is pretty much selling his sister to the Dothraki people, who are like horse warriors from the east. I believe it's the east. It's the east. And they live in the east. So he's selling his sister so he can build an army to take back the kingship from Robert Baratheon, who pretty much stole the kingship, I guess you can say, from the Targaryens through like a war. So with that said, I'm going to get into what I liked and what I disliked about this novel, because can't have the good without the bad. So I'm going to go into the good first. I'm going to go into the bad first. You get the bad news and then the good news. I felt like there was a lot of background story being thrown at you, and a lot of characters being thrown at you right away. And I thought that it made it hard for me to settle in on what was going on in the present story. And that it really took me about like 150, 160 pages to really, you know, catch on and follow the story. And I understand that happens a lot with epic. You know, this is an epic. It's an epic fantasy saga, epic, whatever you want to call it. So I understand, you know, you got to explain the history and all the characters involved. So, but I felt this was a little bit harder for me to settle in and understand what was going on because of the story, because of the backstory and so many characters being thrown at me. Me and Ashley talked about this in our review of No Safety in Numbers, but I don't like it when books change the character perspective so much. And in this novel, every chapter is a new character. So you'll read 20 to 30 pages of one character, 20 to 30 pages of another, 20 to 30 pages of another, 20 to 30 pages of another, and then you get back to the character that it started at, and then it goes on again. And it was really hard for me to be like, okay, well, what's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? You know, what's this girl doing? And then it kind of made it hard for me to become invested in some of the characters. Like, you want to have a big emotional reaction when a character dies. And a lot of characters die in this novel. And it was hard for me to, you know, feel emotionally attached to any of these characters because the perspective was switching so many times. And I felt like it could have drawn out the deaths of some of these characters into the next book or the third book or the fifth book or the fourth book. And maybe that's what happens with the other characters, but I felt like some characters were knocked off too soon, and it really made me hard for me to be invested in them. And another thing I disliked, which I can't really fault this for because this isn't really what they were trying to do here, but I've read a few other fantasy series, and I really like the sword and sorcery, you know, the magic and the, you know, the knights, and, you know, there's a little bit of that in this, but I like to see a little bit more of that in my fantasy novels because, you know, it's fantasy, you know, it's magic and wizards and knights and dragons, and there's stuff like that in this, but I would have liked a little bit more. So, with that said, I want to get into what I liked about this novel. I liked that Martin really builds the mystery, like builds up mystery of like what's going on beyond the wall, what's really out there. You know, he subtly hints at it, and he talks about characters talk about what they think is out there and what it could be a fairy tale or it could be real. And I really like that. You know, that's part of the sword and sorcery part of fantasy novels that I enjoy. I also like the political intrigue, and which is what this novel is going for. You know, it's straying away from the sword and sorcery of, you know, like compared to, like, let's say Lord of the Rings, for example. And I really liked that there's a political, you know, all the politics involved and all the, you know, who's doing what to get what, and there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of moral ambiguity is what I'm trying to say. And I like that some characters, you don't know if you should trust them or if you shouldn't trust them, and I really like that as well. So that really helped keep my attention keep my, you know, interest going in this novel. So with all that said, let's just get right down to the, you know, the end here, my final thoughts. It was hard to get into at first because, like I said, you know, a lot of the backstory and all of that. But once I really got into it, I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed it, but like a lot of people have talked to me, you know, once you read the first book, you need to read the second, then you read the third, and like you just get addicted and it just pulls you right in. And that really didn't happen for me. Like, I really want to read the second book, but I'm not hell bent on reading it. And I'll be able to sleep at night knowing that, you know, I have the books on my bookshelf and they'll be there when I'm ready for them. So, with that said, I'm going to give A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin a 4 out of 5 stars, which is still a pretty solid rating. On Goodreads, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars as well. So that's all I really have. I don't know what book I will be reviewing next because I will be doing a review with Ashley, but I might be able to sneak a review in before that. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like button. It's down here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and feel free to subscribe. That would be cool as well. If you dislike the video, go ahead and dislike it. Let me know why you disliked it. And if you don't want to subscribe to me anymore, that's cool too. I got friends in real life. So that's all I have. Thanks for tuning in. Later.